Let's start, though, with the breaking news this morning. Ben White has been called up to the England squad for Euro 2020. He replaces Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was forced to withdraw last week. Let's go live to our reporter, Rob Dorset, who's with the England camp. So, morning again, Rob. So, Ben White, why has Southgate plumped for him?
Well, the England manager didn't make us wait very long, did he, Mike? 13 hours after the end of England's final warm-up game, and they've announced that Ben White is part of this squad. You ask why? Quite rightly, why? I think there was competition from Ben Godfrey, there was competition from James Ward-Prowse as well in particular, because, as you mentioned, Gareth Southgate called 4 right-backs up to the squad in the first instance, and that did seem a little bit unbalanced, but Southgate said at the time they were good footballers, and that's why they were in the squad, and he felt they could use them in slightly different positions if needed in all of the cases of those 4. But I think this has been a pragmatic decision from Gareth Southgate to include Ben White, who's had a really impressive season for Brighton and Hove Albion, 41 appearances for them, very, very consistent, you have to say. But what it does is he offers cover in the 2 positions which Southgate still has concerns over his most senior players. We know about Harry Maguire's ankle ligament problem. He hasn't played any competitive football for a month now, and it kept him out of Manchester United's Europa League final, didn't it? Now, the signs I'm hearing are that he's making improvements. He's still not out training on the grass with the rest of the squad. He's still doing his own rehabilitation work, primarily in the gym and in the swimming pool. But that ankle is getting stronger, and Southgate hopes and believes that he will be able to play a part in the tournament. Likewise, Jordan Henderson, who got 45 minutes of football last night, the second half, in that final warm-up game against Romania. Crucial 45 minutes from him. He came through unscathed. But there are still significant question marks about how much those 2 will be able to feature, particularly in the group stages, but also the later stages of the tournament if England were to get there. And so that's why Ben White's in. Crucially, he played 90 minutes last night at centre-back and looked very assured, you have to say, didn't make any mistakes at all. And the previous game against Austria, he played 20 minutes as substitute in that holding midfield position, which he has played on a few occasions for Brighton as well. So he covers both positions, and I think that's why Southgate has gone for him rather than maybe Ben Godfrey. I think there will be disappointment for the likes of James Ward-Prowse. There was no imperative that it had to be a defender that Southgate called up to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold, and if you analyse the squad, England do still look a little bit bare in midfield. Only 5 midfielders named, if you like, pure midfielders named in that squad of 26. So that'll still be an area of concern for Gareth Southgate, but he believes by including Ben White, he's got every position covered. He's got every resource that he needs to go into the tournament now and make England real challengers for making it to the final and potentially winning the thing.
So Ben White is in, Rob, and the other players who are hoping to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold, they will be disappointed. What happens to them now?
They've already left the camp. Things move pretty quickly, and I think it's pretty clear that Gareth Southgate had already made his mind up before last night's game about what he was planning to do, and maybe he'd communicated that with some of the players as well, because the England players, the England squad, travelled back, as we did, from Middlesbrough to St George's Park late last night. And the likes of Aaron Ramsdale, Ben Godfrey, James Ward-Prowse, Jesse Lingard and Ollie Watkins have now left the squad. And I think that's crucial to say that didn't have to be the case. There was no reason why Southgate couldn't say, listen, just hang around, guys, or some of you hang around, maybe Ben Godfrey and James Ward-Prowse, who were probably the closest competitors to Ben White to making it into the squad of 6. He could have kept them hanging around because he can make a final changes because of injury up until Saturday, the day before England's first game in the Euros against Croatia. That's the new UEFA rules, brought in some extra flexibility because of coronavirus. But he's decided that's not the case. That's not what he wants. He sent them all home so they can focus on the squad of 26 that he's got. And I think that gives you a clear indication that he has high hopes for Henderson and Maguire. They've made significant improvements in the last few days. He hopes and expects that they'll be able to play key parts in the tournament at some stage, and so he doesn't want any other players around to bulk those numbers up and lead to some question marks about whether changes will happen or not. As far as he's concerned, he's got his final Euro squad of 26. That's it, that's done. Those are the players that will go into the tournament, and that late addition of Ben White is a real headline, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, Rob. OK, thank you.
Well, Ben White is the first Brighton player to feature in an England squad for a major tournament since Steve Foster in the 1982 World Cup. Do you remember Steve Foster? Headband, remember that?
I wasn't born,
Hair?
Mike.
Oh, let it go.
83,
wow, come on. I don't believe that. Well, this is why Southgate has picked White. Well, when it comes to tackles per 90 minutes, White is way above his competitors. He ranks highly for interceptions amongst this group of selected England centre-backs who have played more than 900 minutes in the Premier League this season. Only Harry Maguire has made more. In the last 20 minutes or so, White has posted this on Instagram. He says he's beyond proud and honoured and will give it his everything.